He escaped a Supermax prison, but what he did next was unthinkable. There was no tunnel, no riot, no help from the inside. And yet, he was gone. The world thought he was the villain. What came next made them question everything. Welcome to Crime's Court, the home of untold crimes, deeper truths, and the stories behind the headlines. If you're new here, we go beyond the surface of every crime. Not just what happened, but why. Hit subscribe, stay to the end, and get ready to question everything you thought you knew about justice. It was 3:47 a.m. when the alarms began. No explosions, no panic, no broken gates. But when the guards entered cell 243A, it was empty. The man inside, Jericho Wolf, America's most feared domestic saboteur, was gone. No signs of struggle, no broken locks, no cameras tripped. Just a single note on the cot, scrawled in blood-red ink. You built the cage, but you never noticed the key. The nation erupted. Before he became a headline, Jericho Wolf was a wildfire responder. Born in Missoula, Montana, raised in the heart of fire country. By 22, he was leading federal rescue teams into infernos. He saved lives. He earned medals. He knew the system inside out. Until Fireline Ridge. August 2nd, 2008. A firestorm erupted on tribal land near Butte County. The official story? Lightning strike. Unofficially, a mismanaged backburn by a private energy firm. Jericho and his crew were dispatched to evacuate a reservation community. But by the time they arrived, 4 children were already dead. The fire had jumped containment hours earlier. No one had been warned. Jericho didn't just grieve. He investigated. He found internal emails, time-stamped orders to stand down to avoid legal liability. The company was never charged. The families were paid to stay quiet. Jericho vanished 3 weeks later. Between 2009 and 2015, a series of sophisticated arsons targeted energy infrastructure across the U.S. Transformers exploded. Pipelines burst. Millions lost power. Each time, a calling card was left behind. A black raven feather dipped in ash. They called him the Raven. The FBI opened a domestic terror file. Homeland Security labeled him a lone wolf eco-extremist. But on forums, he was a legend. To whistleblowers and activists, Jericho Wolf was justice. Then came May 12, 2015. A federal prosecutor's car exploded in Seattle. Inside were classified files tied to Fireline Ridge. 3 bystanders died. They arrested Jericho at 4:32 a.m., hiding in a fishing boat off the Washington coast. Jericho Wolf was sentenced to 4 life terms without parole. No plea deals, no emotion. At Coyote Ridge Supermax, he was placed in perpetual lockdown, 23 hours a day in isolation. No tech, no books from outside. Guards rotated every 10 days to avoid building rapport. But Jericho didn't resist. He just waited. What no one knew was that Jericho had spent those years memorizing every pattern in the system. Which guards were late after storms? Which doors buzzed louder when unlocked? How long camera loops really lasted? And then, on July 16, 2020, he walked out. No violence, no noise. Gone. For 36 hours, there was silence. Then, a UPS facility in Portland exploded. No casualties, just files gone. 3 days later, a news anchor received a flash drive in the mail. On it, encrypted footage from inside a federal data center, dated 2014. It showed agents deleting wildfire logs related to Fireline Ridge. More drives surfaced. Newsrooms received files. Investigative outlets were flooded. The public turned. Was he a terrorist or a truth teller? Enter Detective Angela Rios, a 34-year-old former military linguist turned cybercrimes investigator. Soft-spoken, unshakable, unbending. She found something no one else had. Each of Jericho's escape-era drives had a pattern in the file names, numbers from wildfire coordinates. It wasn't random. It was a path. She followed it. Each site he visited wasn't just tied to arson. They were archived bunkers, forgotten databases, old wildfire data buried by federal orders. He wasn't escaping. He was rebuilding a case from the outside in. In a cabin 14 miles outside Kalispell, Montana, she found him. Not in hiding. Working. Dozens of solar panels lit a cabin filled with hard drives, weather maps, coded files. Jericho sat in the dark, typing. He turned as she entered, unarmed. "I knew someone would come," he said. "I didn't think it would be you." Angela didn't draw her weapon. "Tell me everything," she said. And he did. Jericho Wolf turned himself in again. But this time, he didn't run. He handed over 12 terabytes of data. Hidden government emails, fire command logs, contractor bribes, insurance blackmail. The DOJ scrambled. They couldn't retry him. Double jeopardy protected the past. But the public wanted the truth. A Senate inquiry began. 5 federal officials were forced to resign. 2 energy execs were indicted. The Fireline families received a public apology for the first time in 12 years. And Jericho? He was re-sentenced to life. But now, held in a monitored off-site medical facility. No longer treated as a threat, but a liability. He spends his days teaching wildfire response protocols to recruits, under a false name. No press allowed. No camera footage permitted. But Angela visits once a year. Each time, she asks, "Why didn't you run again?" Each time, he says, "I wasn't running. I was rebuilding the fire line. The right way this time." An anonymous envelope arrives at an independent journalist's desk. Inside, a map, dozens of wildfire symbols, and one note. There are more. Start where the records stop. No return address. No signature. Just a feather, black, dipped in ash. He escaped a Supermax prison. He shook the nation. He relit a fire the government had buried. But the truth is, Jericho Wolf never really escaped. He infiltrated. And maybe the real prison was the silence we let burn for far too long. This is Crime's Court, where the crime never ends at conviction, where justice sometimes starts with a jailbreak. Subscribe, share, and stay curious, because the next story might already be burning beneath your feet.